Shield Hero Season 3 Episode 10 is out. If you've watched the episode already, you saw that the Bow Hero is back. I think this is going to be another pretty short video. It looks like they've really slowed the pace down for the second half of the season. So this one book is going to be spread out over like 6 episodes, unless they're just going to jam a book in right at the end. But I don't think they'll do that, just based on how it's going. Alright, so let's get into it. I'm picking up right where the fight ended, because that's pretty much where last episode ended. And Philo is kind of throwing a tantrum at Galeon, saying, give me my experience points back. And Galeon says, I think what you want is over there. And he points to the Wrath Dragon's corpse. We get a little thing like a black light envelops the dragon, and a little bit comes off of Philo also, and goes into Naofumi's shield. And a voice says, there will always be rage in your heart. I will retreat this time. So the Emperor Dragon is like kind of just lurking around in his shield, is the implication. And then we just get some more like messing around where Philo is wanting her experience back and she's level 41. Galeon's level 60 and he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And he's calling himself Naofumi's favorite. And Naofumi kind of starts trolling. He makes Philo turn into her bird form and then grabs Galen and tries to shove him into Philo's mouth. And he's like, maybe you'll get your experience back if you eat Galen. And Philo's like, no, that's disgusting. And then Melty and Wendy are all giving him a hard time. And this little scene you saw at the end of last episode where Galeon starts glowing and then changes his size to go to be about 4 meters. And then he has Naofumi on his back and uses his tail to grab Windia, Sedina, Rat, and Atla, and then takes flight. And you get a little thing here where there's just some banter between the group. But Naofumi says he looks down and it looks like the corruption from the area is gone. And Rat says that Galeon was sucking up the corruption from the surrounding area while he was running amok. They get back to the village where they temporarily stopped on their way to fight the dragon. And this is what you saw at the beginning of this episode where Philo's like, Master rides on my back. And then her and Galeon are like bickering. And Galeon's in his baby form again. The show did a pretty good job of this, where Philo doesn't have a curse anymore, so he wants her to go level. And then Melty gets sent to go level with her. And we get a little bit of trolling in here where Naofumi's thinking to himself, you know, I wonder if the queen would care if I put the slave crest on Melty to give her the maturation bonus that everyone gets who's the Shield Hero's slave. And he asked her and she says no. But this is where you also see, if you didn't know, that the queen wanted the Shield Hero to marry Melty and put a baby in her is the gist of it, for political reasons. And the show covered this part pretty thoroughly too, so I'm not going to do too much here. But I did just want to mention, this is where Naofumi takes some of the stronger slaves to Zeltobel to get some more experience. And the old lady starts referring to Keel as her. And you might not have noticed that if you're just an anime watcher. In the book, Keel is confused about her gender because her dad wanted her to be a boy and raised her that way, even though she's a girl. And I did a video about it a few videos ago. I wish I could remember the episode. I want to say 2 or 3 I talked about it. So you can go listen to that if you're kind of confused. This is just a little detail that I wanted to mention. In the show, you saw Rishia like mess up the way that she's talking a couple times because she's super nervous and anxious. In the book, whenever someone talks to her or looks at her or anything, she always goes, eh. You can see how it's written here at the bottom of the screen. And Naofumi is always really annoyed by it, and he calls her pathetic. And he's like, even as strong as you can be, you make that pathetic noise, like you need to stop. And there's also a line in here about the Luralona slave price bubble bursting, but they're still rather expensive for slaves, which are obviously the slaves that are from Raphtalia's village. And you get a little bit of detail about the above ground Coliseum here, where these are much more straightforward fights and they're not really dirty like the one that Naofumi participated in, which was the underground Coliseum. And this one, he says, has restrictions like level classes, you have to use dulled weapons, and killing opponents is forbidden. So it's more like a jousting tournament or a sports tournament or something. And the show did a pretty good job with all the Itsuki stuff, of him being kind of out of it and just really down. But something I think is a little bit interesting is, I think Naofumi is a little bit more aggressive in the book, where he actually grabs Itsuki and shakes him by the shoulders back and forth. And he's like, there's no sign of him responding. So he's like a zombie. And then he says the sound of the gong goes off. Itsuki shoves Rishia and then sprints to the arena. Like he doesn't even have control over himself or something. And if you've seen the episode, which I assume you have if you're here, Itsuki yells every time he wins. And Naofumi talks about how odd that is, because Itsuki was always more reserved and kind of trying to stay hidden in the shadows, like he's the eminence in shadow or something. And here's a nice little world building thing where Naofumi says we've finally figured out how to interfere with portal skills. Magically generating a magnetic field in the area would cause the portal skills to malfunction. And in that way, they can keep him from running. And he also mentioned using Sanctuary or Judgment, which is like what the church used back in season 1. And the show did really good with all this too. This is where Rishia says, I'd like to help him resolve whatever's bothering him. And Naofumi says, even though he discarded you like a piece of trash. And he's thinking to himself, Rishia must have been some kind of saint. Like, she's devoted to him no matter what he does to her. And he's talking about how lucky Itsuki is to have a girl like that like him. And the show did this well too, where the slave trader says that he'll help, and Naofumi's like, oh, because you're getting a reward and blah, blah, blah. And then Naofumi's like, you better not try to turn this into a hero deathmatch spectacle, or I can't guarantee that anyone in the audience will make it out alive. So it's just like the show. The show has done a really good job these last couple episodes. And obviously Naofumi's plan is really straightforward. He says that Rishia will fight him first, and then if she can't get through to him, he'll fill the audience out with fake onlookers, which are just going to be the slaves. And then they'll line Sedina and Sign up as other fighters. And that way he can fight them after Rishia if she can't beat him. And we get a little thing here where they take the day to set it up because they're going to fight Itsuki that night. And Naofumi teleports back to get Ren, brings Ren back, and Naofumi's like, we need to figure out why he's trying to make money. So the show did it a little bit differently, where Itsuki directly says to them that he's with Bitch, and Ren was already with Naofumi. So he's like, you shouldn't be with Bitch, because obviously he's pissed off about what happened to him. So the book is a little bit different in that regard, but nothing major. I'm sure it's a time thing. And here we get another one of Rishia's, like, Naofumi calls it a cutesy pronunciation, where she says, I'll do my best. And he's like, I thought she'd be serious, but maybe that's just who she is even when she's serious. And this is right about where the episode ends, the little cliffhanger, where Itsuki says, oh, so my opponent's Rishia, this is an easy win. And Rishia is trying to get through to him. She's like, Mr. Itsuki, please listen. The situation is serious and your life is in danger. Just listen to what Naofumi and Ren have to say. And then Naofumi says that he waves to him, and Itsuki looks over and his expression goes really grim. So this is another really short one. They only covered a couple chapters. We went from 57% through the book to 66. And the next chapter is called Justice First Justice, like you can see here, which is also the next episode title. So I assume the next episode is going to be a pretty good one. It's been a while since I've read the books, but from what I remember, the fight between Rishia and Itsuki is pretty good. I imagine that's going to take up a pretty good chunk of the rest of the book, and obviously it's the second to last episode, so I'm sure they're going to probably end it right after this book, find a good spot to end it. I haven't heard anything about it season 4. I have no idea how it's been viewed over in Japan or the novel sales or anything, which is what they base it on. So I guess we'll see. Hopefully Shield Hero Book 23 will come out and we can see a spike in the sales and maybe get some more seasons. Because right now we're at book 12. There's 22 books out, but there hasn't been a book published in 3 years. So everyone who's a fan of this is kind of like, what's going on? But even still, we're only at the halfway point book-wise, and that's with them jamming through the seasons for seasons 2 and 3. So we'll see. Hopefully they'll find a good spot to end this season at least. If you're an anime-only fan, it'll be satisfactory. All right, that's it for me for this one. Let me know what you thought of the episode. Like and subscribe and all that shit. See ya. Thanks.